Hi there, geometry students. This is Miss Hefty here. We're beginning chapter 3, and in this chapter we're going to focus on parallel lines. And so let's talk about some definitions here. Parallel lines. Parallel lines are coplanar lines that do not intersect. And so when we look at our diagram, AD and EH are on the front of this rectangular prism. So AD is considered parallel to EH. They're not going to intersect, and they're in the front plane there. Skewed lines are lines that do not intersect and are not coplanar, so they're not going to be in the same plane. So if we take a look here, AE is on the front plane, and then CD is on the top or the side plane. So we could say that AE and CD are skewed. Parallel planes are planes that do not intersect. And so if I'm going to identify planes, remember people that planes are labeled by 3 letters. So I could write like plane. I'm going to use my front plane, which is A, D, H, and I could use any one of those any 3 letters there. There's 4 of them there. I could take any 3, so I took ADH, and I'm going to take the back plane, which is plane B, C, G. A transversal. A transversal is a line that intersects 2 or more coplanar lines at 2 different points. So when you look at your diagram that you have in your notes packet here, T is intersecting M and N, so T is said to be the transversal. Then you have special angle pair relationships when you have 2 lines that are being intersected by a transversal. And first off, we're going to have interior angles. Those are angles that are in between the 2 lines. So if you look here, 4, 3, 5, and 6 are interior angles. 4, 3, 5, and 6. Interior paint is paint that you put on the inside of your house, so inside, so in between the lines would be inside. Exterior would be outside, angles that do not lie between the 2 lines. Got a large eraser here. And so when you're looking here, you would say 1, 2, 7, and 8. Okay, I'm going to erase so that I can use my diagram again. Consecutive interiors, so we're talking about interior angles right now, so we're talking about inside angles, and then consecutive would be interior angles that lie on the same side of the transversal. So I'm looking at 4 and 5. They're on the same side of the transversal. And the other set that you could also write down would be the 3 and the 6. 3 and 6 on the same side here. Let's clear this. Alternate interior angles would be a non-adjacent interior angles that lie that are on this, they're back and forth. So alternating. If we're shooting baskets and we're alternating back and forth, we'd be taking turns. So 4 and 6 would be alternate interior. So an angle 6. And then my other set would be angle 3 and angle 5. See, they're back and forth over it. And so next is our consecutive exterior. We know what exterior means. Exterior means on the outside, and consecutive is lying on the same side of the transversal. So I'm going to have exterior angles that lie on the same side of the transversal. So when I'm looking and trying to come up with examples for this, it would be 1 and 8. Or 2 and 7. Alternate exterior angles. I got confused there. So those would be outside angles, and then they would be going back and forth across the transversal. So I need exterior angles that are going back and forth. So like 1 and 7. And let's get this erased. So they're non-adjacent exterior angles that lie opposite sides of the transversal. I guess this is what I messed up there, on opposite sides of the transversal. So I was saying angle 1 and angle 7. And then the other pair are 2 and 8. And then our last special angle pair names are called corresponding. Corresponding angles lie on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of the line. So if you take a look here, okay, so if I'm looking at 1, okay, it's on the top left hand side. So when I come down here to the bottom, I need the top left hand side. So 1 and 5 would be a set. And we could have 2 and 6. So and sign. And then you could have 4 and 8. I'm not going to write them all down here. Could have 4 and 8. And then my last set would be 3 and 7. All right, let's take a look at a couple of the examples then. In our lesson, it says classify the relationship between each pair of angles as alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding, consecutive interior. Looks like I don't have consecutive exterior on here. I should as well. And then I also need to identify the transversal. So in example A, I'm looking at 10 and I'm looking at 16. Now the transversal is going to be the line that both the angles sit on. So when I look here, I'm really looking at, that's the transversal, and these are the two lines that are creating those angles then. This line P has nothing to do with this first problem, so don't let that confuse you. So first off, your transversal is going to be Q, and then what's the special angle pair name? Now, this really has nothing to do with the problem, so don't even look at that. Here are the two lines. These are on the outside. They're not in between the lines, they're on the outside of the lines, and they're going back and forth. They're alternating. So they're alternate exterior angles. Don't abbreviate, people. Make sure you're writing them out completely. We need to make sure that we're spelling them correctly. They're alternate exterior angles, not just alternate exterior angles. I'm going to clean off my diagram. Next, I'm looking at 4 and 12. So here's 4 and there's 12. Remember, the transversal is the line that both of the angles are sitting on, and then these are the two lines that are creating that angle then, and that angle. And so the line down here really has nothing to do with that problem. So our transversal first off is N. Oops. And they are sitting in the same spot, people. This is bottom left and that's bottom left. So when they sit in the same spot on the lines, they're called corresponding angles. Corresponding. Let's erase this. All right, we're looking at 12 and 13. There's 12, there's 13. Again, your transversal sits on both of the angles, so that's my transversal. Here's the line that creates that angle, and here's the line that creates that angle. So, again, this really doesn't exist in this part of the problem. First thing we know is that we have a transversal of, is that T? Q, I guess. Q. Q. And then they are both sitting on the inside here. They're sitting between the two lines that are on the same side. So those would be consecutive interior angles. And again, we're spelling it all the way out. We learned to spell it. Let's look at our last problem. All right, we're looking at 3 and 9. And so we're looking at the transversal, where they both sit on is N. And then these are the lines that are creating the angles. Again, this bottom does not really exist in this part of the problem. So our transversal is N. And these are both on the inside and they're going back and forth. They're alternating back and forth, so they're alternate interior angles. These special angle relationships are really important. We're going to be using these in this chapter quite frequently. So get comfortable with them, learn what they mean, so that in the next section you're able to apply it. You guys have a great night, and I will see you in class tomorrow.